Hello everyone, I'm Bingja. Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the methods to solve a quadratic equation. So without further ado, let's start the video. So when we are talking about quadratic equations, all right, as mentioned from the last video, we are talking about equations in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, so quadratic, it's when you have a power of 2 in the equation. All right, so usually to solve this, we will make this equals to 0, and there are three methods to solve them. The first one is by the factorization method, and the second one is by completing the squares, and the last one will be uh, by formula. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit long video because I'm going to be talking about all three methods of this. Alright, so first we're going to start with factorization. Alright, so method number one, factorization. So for factorization, we must make sure that we can make them to two brackets. Alright, so for an example here, we have x squared minus 5x plus 6. All right, so in order to check whether this quadratic equation can be can transform into two brackets, we will use this method. All right, so first we have x squared here, so we will write both x here. All right, and then we will now look at the common factors of 6. I mean, not common factors, the factors of 6. The factors of 6 is equals to 2 and 3, 1 and 6. All right, so these are the four factors for 6, but we need to choose the set of factors that can add up to this to the middle figure here. All right, so we will now test out one by one. Let's take 1 and 6. All right, let's say if this is 1 and 6. All right, down here is multiplication. All right, so this is by going down, it's multiplication, and by going down here is addition, and going to the like this. So from here it's equals to x squared, and here is equals to 6. No issue, but the problem here is at the part here, we need to make it negative 5x here. All right, so how can we make it to negative 5x? From here, we are going to do cross multiplication. All right, so from here is x and here is 6x. So as you can see, this doesn't add up to negative 5. All right, so this is not the set of factors that we should take. All right, so we are left with 2 and 3. All right, so we will put 2 and 3 here. All right, so 2 multiplied with 3, you will get 6. And here is 2x and 3x. But as you can see, it's negative 5x here. So what can we do? We know that 2 times 3 is equals to 6. But negative 2 multiplied with negative 3 is equals to negative 6 also. So we can put negative at both of the numbers here. Then we will get negative 2x and negative 3x. And there we go. We had found out the thing that we want. So from here, we will take this 2, all right, this one, and this one, all right. We can, after we have done this, we can now say that x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equivalent to x minus 2, x minus 3. And this is the answer for in order to factorize out x squared minus 5x plus 6 using the factorization method. All right, so this requires a little bit of revision and practice so that you can choose the factors correctly, the correct factor in order to complete the factorization. All right, so just in case, you will actually need to use the calculator to check whether you can use the factorization method. All right, so I'm using the FX570MS. I don't know if you can see this. So if I will teach you how to go to the part where you can use your calculator to actually find out the factors so that you can straightly sub it in. All right, so you will go to mode and you press the mode until you see the EQN. All right, and then you will press 1. All right, because the EQN there. And then you will need to press mode again, and then until you see the word degree. All right, until you see the degree. All right, so if it's a quadratic equation, we will press 2 because it's to the power of 2. As you can see here, they ask for the coefficient. All right, so from this part is 1 because x squared, the coefficient is 1. So we press 1 and we press equals. All right, then they will proceed to ask you b, then you will input -5 and c 6. Then you will press equal, and they will give you this x1 is equals to 3 and x2 is equals to 2. All right, so what does this mean? It's because if you are using this calculator, you are actually solving x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equals to 0, right? So from here, we get by factorization x minus 2 and x minus 3 is equals to 0. So in order for this to become 0, either of the brackets needs to become a 0. So x minus 2 is equals to 0, or x minus 3 is equals to 0 because any of them can be 0. Therefore, you get that x is equals to 2, x is equals to 3, just as what the calculator have told you. Because the calculator is looking for the root for this equation. And the root, we call it, is actually the answer for this quadratic equation is 2 and 3 when it's given equals to 0. All right, so remember, if the question asks you to factorize, all right, if it's only factorized, then you will reach until this line here and you will stop. All right, but if the question asks you to solve, you must make sure that you have x and you have both the x values. All right, so this is the difference between factorize and to solve. All right, and for this part, the question we usually ask, solve this quadratic equation by using the factorization method. All right, so this is the method 1, factorization. Okay, then now I will go on to the second method, which is called completing the squares. All right, so the second method here is to complete the squares. All right, to solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. All right, so what does completing a square means is basically from a quadratic equation, you will make it equals to, all right, something a x plus d in the form of stuff like this, plus e. All right, so it's basically just a form like this. All right, so how do we actually do it? Since I've said like that. So what is d? What is e? Okay, so we'll see from ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, the first part is step number 1. I'm gonna change it to orange. Step 1, make coefficient of x squared be 1. All right, how do we do this? We're gonna do it by factorization. All right, and factorization, we are just gonna factor out x bracket x squared plus, all right, b over a x plus c over a. All right, still good. From this part, I'm just gonna prove that how we are gonna do until the part where you actually do the fast one. I will say how to do. All right, step number 2, all right, you will create a square bracket. All right, how do you create a square bracket? It's just a, all right, x plus d square plus e. All right, from as you can see as the above here, we're going to create the same one here first. All right, then we will have step number 3. All right, step number 3 here, we're going to define what is d. D is equals to coefficient of x divide 2. All right, what does this mean? Okay, from here we know that the coefficient of x is b over a. All right, so from here we know that d is equals to b over 2a. All right, because we need to divide it by 2. Therefore, you will get a. All right, we need to write equals for all this. All right, this is equals. They're all equivalent, yeah. If you take note of it, it will be equals to a. All right, x plus b over 2a squared plus e. All right, then the next step. The next step here, we will need to step 4, right? Just to check if it's 4, okay. We need to define what's e. E is equals to constant minus, all right, okay, I'm not gonna do like that. All right, E is equals to minus d squared, all right, plus with the constant. All right, just a little note here. All right, note. All right, just a note here. Note. Negative d squared is not equivalent to negative d the whole thing squared. All right, so you need to take note of this. So the negative here, we need to always remain it out there. Okay, so this will be equals to a x plus b over 2a squared. All right, now we need to put in what's the e. All right, so e is equals to negative. All right, always put the negative. D squared is b over 2a, so it's b squared over 4a squared. All right, then you plus with the constant. All right, the constant is c over a. Okay, the constant here is c over a. All right, so this is how you complete the squares. All right, so if you want to further do it, you can expand in step 5. You can simplify it. All right. All right, then step number 5. Step 5, simplify. All right. Sorry. Is equals to a. All right, you will expand the a inside. X plus b over 2a, the whole thing squared, minus b squared over 4a plus c. All right, because each term here is multiplied with x. All right, so this is how you complete a square. Okay, and to further on give you like an example, I would have an example here right here later on. All right, so now we will further move on to if you want to look at example, you can fast forward to the back part and you will come back later on. All right. So the next part here I'm going to talk about is the quadratic formula. All right. So from here, the next one is to solve using quadratic formula. All right. So if you search online, you can probably get that the quadratic formula is given by x is equals to negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. All right, so this is not something easy to memorize. Yeah, maybe usually we would just memorize this formula, but what if you forgot something in exams? All right, so what to do? So here I'm gonna prove the formula to you so that you can actually do this in the exams, just in case you are not familiar with the formula. All right, proof the quadratic formula. All right, so from ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, we are gonna first complete the square. All right. So from the part just now, we can get that by completing the square, we get this. All right. So okay. So from here, we get that dot 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 dot. You can try to do it yourself at home. A x plus b over 2a square minus b squared over 4a plus c is equals to 0. All right. So from here, we will need to make x the subject, because from here we need to make x the subject. All right. So we will first move move the two terms to the right hand side. B squared over 4a plus minus c. All right. Minus c. All right. This will be equals to, if we combine both of them, b squared minus 4ac. Okay. Then next, to continue, move this b over 2a squared is equals to, from a we will move to the next side is divide. All right, so it's equals to b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Okay, it's just that easy. Then power 2, we bring it to the other side. X plus b over 2a is equals to square root plus minus. All right, you need to remember square root is always plus minus. All right, b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. All right, I'm gonna give you a little note here. This one. All right, note that square root, you go over to the other side. All right, it will be plus minus, because a square is equals to a square, obviously, and negative a square is equals to a square also. So this is something that you need to take note. Wherever you have a square root, you must always put plus minus. Okay, so from here we can get that this is equals to cert plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. All right. And lastly, to make x the subject, is equals to negative b over 2a plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. All right. And if you combine it, you will get the one that I said just now. All right. This is the quadratic formula. All right. So you can choose to memorize it, or if you want, or if you have like, if you are a proving guy like me who likes how to prove the quadratic formula, you can prove this out through the exam, but the teacher won't give you marks. So why waste the time? Just memorize the formula, right? So I have introduced to you 3 different methods of solving a quadratic equation. All right. So for completing the square part, I just taught you how to complete the squares, but I haven't tell you how to solve a quadratic equation using completing the squares. And yeah, so we will see how do we do that from the examples here. All right. So the first example we have here is to solve 4x squared minus 12b minus 91 is equal to 0 using the factorization method. Factorization method means we need to make this into 2 brackets. Okay, so first we need to list out the factors of 4. We have 1, 2, and 4. Secondly, factors of 91. All right, we have 1, 91, 3. Is 3 a factor? 91 divided by 3. Okay, 3 is not a factor. My apologies. What else do we have? 91. All right, we have 7. All right, 7 and 13. All right, so that's all for the factors of 91. So now we are gonna make this thing here. All right, So we have two possibilities here. All right, for the first part, we can either have 4x and x or 2x and 2x. All right, so we're gonna try an error to see which one is actually the one that we are looking for. All right, so first thing we're gonna go to the 4x and x. All right, so this is 4x squared. All right, and this have to be negative 91, and this has to be negative 12x. All right, this is some mistake here. X. Okay, so this is a very long one. So we can first try with 1, and 91 is technically impossible because 91 minus 1, it's not going to give you 12 anywhere close. So automatically we can cancel out these two. So we are left with 13 and 7. All right. So, hey, this one. All right. 13, 7 and 13, 7. All right. So if we multiply this, we get 13x and 28x. And here is 26x. All right. Remember, we need to cross multiply. Yeah. 14x. All right. So if you can see here, 13 and 28x is not going to give you anywhere close to 12. All right. So what if we try to change the orientation? All right. We instead have 13 down here and 7 down here and 7 up here. It's going to give 7x and 52x. And it's even far. So we can conclude that this is not what we want. All right, so this is wrong. Okay, then we're going to further continue to the second part here, which we have 4x squared. And this is 91. And this is 12. This must be negative 12x. So as you can see here, we need a negative 12x, which means if a minus b is negative, then a must be smaller than b. All right, a must be smaller than b. Correct. So from here we know that a must be smaller than b, which means a is equals to 14 and b is equals to 26. And we minus the 26, which means the 26 must be a minus. And therefore, we need to put a negative here so that everything now makes sense. Okay, so from here, I don't know what color is this, but this is what we are going to take this to. All right, so we can conclude that the equation here, 4x squared, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. 4x squared minus 12x minus 91 equals to 0. And by factorization, we can get that 2x minus 13 and 2x plus 7 is equals to 0. All right, so until here, now we're going to solve for x. Okay, so as I said just now, in order for this to be equals to 0, either of the brackets must be 0. So it's either this is equals to 0 or this is equals to 0. Therefore, you can get that x is equals to 13 over 2 or x is equals to negative 7 over 2. All right, and you can press your calculator to double confirm this. As I taught you just now, on mode equation and degree is 2. And I'm just going to check it a little bit for negative 12, negative 91. You will get 6.5 as your x1 and negative 3.5 as your x2. All right, and this is how you solve a quadratic equation using factorization method. All right, the second one we are gonna do here is this question 10 here. All right, for question 10 here, just give me a little bit of time. Okay, solve x squared is using completing the squares method. All right, so from here, x squared plus 5x minus 20 is equal to 0. And this cannot be solved by using the factorization method, so we will use completing the squares method. And especially, it's specified by the question. So from the long proving that I have did just now, we can actually just straightly, all right, first thing, we make sure that this is equals to 1. So we can straightly make a bracket, right? B divided by 2, so it's 5 divided by 2 square, all right, always negative, 5 over 2, the whole thing square, and then bring the constant down, all right, equals to 0. It's just that easy, okay? So completing the squares isn't actually that hard as said, all right? So from here, we can further continue this. Minus 25 over 4 minus 20 equals to 0. And then we will need to make x the subject. All right, so we will get 80 over 4 plus 25 over 4. Okay, then from here, we further continue to x plus 5 over 2 is equals to third 105 over 4. And x is equals to third 105 over 2 minus 5 over 2. And this is in the exact form, or you can press your calculator. This must be plus minus, and I need more space here. Okay. So from here, x can be equals to positive third 105 over 2 minus 5 over 2, or x is equals to negative 105 over 2 minus 5 over 2. All right. So if you press your calculator, third 105 divided by 2 minus 5 over 2, you will get the answer 2.623 and equals to negative, it's actually the same, but in the negative way. So it's negative divided by 2 minus 2.5, and you will further get negative 7.623. All right, so this is how you solve quadratic equation using completing the squares method. All right, lastly, we have to solve using the quadratic formula. All right, you don't need to prove, all right, you just need to memorize x is equals to negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. All right, and by substituting it in, you get negative first thing, you need to make sure the equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. All right, so from here, x squared plus 7x is equals to negative 3. Then we will bring the negative 3 to the left side is equals to 0. And this will be 1 is equals to a. This will be b. And this will be c. All right, so you will need to let a is equals to 1, b is equals to 7, and c is equals to 3. All right, this is very important because the examiner might penalize you if you don't write this out. So x is equals to negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. All right, this will be equals to negative 7 plus minus 37 over 2. All right, and then if you press your calculator, all right, 173, you will get x. All right, x is equals to negative 0.459 or equals to negative 6.541. All right, so for questions asking you to use the quadratic formula, they are expecting you to show this part. All right, you know the formula, and then you let ABC, you substitute in, and then you get the final part here. And if they want you to show it in decimal places, then you will further continue right here, and then maybe make it to 2 decimal places or 3 significant figures as asked from the questions, right? This marks the end of the video. This video is a little bit too long. That's why I did not include the inequalities. I will include it in the next video. I think that will be a very short one. So yeah, this is quite a lengthy video and load of information. In this video, we talked about how to use factorization, how to use completing the squares, how to use the quadratic formula to solve a quadratic equation. So I hope you guys will understand this. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me through Instagram. All right, I'll try my best to help. And yeah, this marks the end of this video. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.